As choir directors, we're almost always talking about vocal health and vocal care for our singers. But how often are we actually thinking about that for ourselves as the conductor? Probably not often. So here's your friendly reminder to please look after your voice. Hello and welcome back, or if you're new here, hi. My name is Alex. I'm a singer/choral conductor here in Brisbane, Australia. I spend a lot of time using my voice, and a big chunk of that is often leading rehearsals for choirs and vocal ensembles, big or small. I've been doing this professionally for about 10 years or so now, but I must admit something I've been really lazy with until now has been taking the time to think about vocal health and voice care for myself as the conductor of these ensembles. I feel like we're always telling our singers, drink more water, don't oversing, look after yourself, don't yell. But how often are we actually checking in with ourselves about these things? This particularly came about for me last year when I had a giant performance, one of my biggest gigs of the year and probably one of the bigger ones that I do in my career. And I wasn't looking after myself and I got sick and I lost my voice and I was devastated. And sometimes sickness can't be helped, but I did think that perhaps it was a really good point for me to think about, am I actually doing all the things that I can be doing to take care of my voice properly? So I thought it might be helpful to run you through all the things I do to prepare for a big vocal session, whether it's a gig, a big rehearsal, or that sort of thing. So let's get into it. This might be a bit Captain Obvious here, but please drink water. Like, not only to survive, but also it's so good for your voice. I don't need to tell you why it's good. You know it's good. Water, it's essential. So please drink it. And on that note, something new to me in the last little while is actually using a nebulizer before rehearsal. Now, I'm not a health professional by any means, but I have been doing a lot of reading and chatting to a lot of my theatre performer friends that have a really big vocal load every day as part of their job. Which brings me to these little guys, a nebulizer and a steamer. Both are great tools for different things, but also should be used at different points in your routine as they do different things. This is my little nebulizer. I've only gotten it like in the last few months or so, but already I have noticed such a difference in not getting fatigued as easily while running really big rehearsal sessions. Technically, you do want to be nebulizing before you sing and then steaming after you sing, as both have different benefits. But basically, a nebulizer is going to help you reduce your vocal load and your effort in trying to produce your sound. You use it with a 0.9% saline solution, and it's basically sending a fine mist into your vocal folds and helps hydrate it on the surface. I definitely wouldn't recommend this to everyone, but since I'm using my voice, I'm singing, I'm instructing, I'm often very active when I'm running rehearsals, this has been really great for me in just helping to prep it a bit nicer and yet not get as tired so easily. A game changer for me has been doing this little tongue stretch. I really should be doing it every day, but do I remember? No, but we're trying. The amazing Ellie from Vocal Lab put me onto this last year when I did her advanced vocal technique workshop, which was amazing, by the way. Basically, it's just grabbing a bit of gauze and then using it to stretch your tongue to kind of relieve any tension. Side note, I am actually tongue-tied, so I can't really do this the proper way, but you get the idea. Now we get into vocal warm-ups, and I'm going to confess something. For a really long time in my teaching career, I would be really lazy and just warm up with my choir singers in their rehearsal and not do anything beforehand. I know. And I feel like this kind of cooked myself for a few reasons. One being, I was already projecting and using my voice before I'd actually properly warmed up. Kind of bad. But also, then I wasn't listening to my singers and I couldn't keep an ear out for whether they were doing the exercises properly, if they needed more or less. And that's kind of just bad directing. So don't do that. Make sure you take the time to warm up. Chances are, if you're watching this, you are already a voice specialist in some form, so I don't need to tell you why vocal warm-ups are good. Everyone knows what they're good for. And you've probably got ones that you like to do yourself. But I'll walk you through what I like to do. I like to kick off with some SOVT/semi-occluded vocal tract exercises using a straw. Do I own the singing straw? No. Do you need it? No. Just use what you've got. I'll start by just blowing bubbles into the water for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'll actually make some sound, usually some sirens still in the water. Then I'll take it out of the water, do a few more. Personally, I love a lip trill. I know that's just another SOVT, but it feels really good, so I like to do it. Then I'll move on to some long notes, some half scales, and then some longer scale patterns all throughout my register. Z. Na 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 na. And then I'm good to go. Hot to go, even. Something else that's new to me this year is miking up in the rehearsal room. I was against this for a really long time. I think I had this weird hang up of not wanting to use a microphone from teaching in a school, where the thought process was, no, they should be quiet enough to be able to hear me. I don't need a microphone. But actually, that was only doing me damage by having to yell out at people that weren't listening. And when I was using my voice as much as I am, a little bit of amplification isn't going to hurt anyone. I should also mention I do work predominantly in the contemporary choir / vocal group, even music theatre sort of world. So a lot of the things I'm doing are already with amplification and bigger instruments. So it just kind of made sense. Also, the rehearsal room that we often use, it's so lovely, but it's very boomy and very echoey. So a microphone was really helping everyone to hear me. I just use an SM58. I have a heap lying around, so it's super easy for me to access, but I don't actually sit directly onto it. I kind of put it off to the side just so I'm not going to knock it flying while I'm conducting, which I have done a few times, but it's made a huge difference. If you're like me and you struggle with a bit of mouth dryness, particularly when you might be nervous or in a performance, I was having a chat with my friend who's performing in Six the Musical, and she recommended me this stuff called Biotine. Biotine? I'm not sure. But basically you can get it as a gel or a spray. And I use this kind of just to get a little bit more saliva going in the mouth. Obviously water is a very great tool for this, but I found using this stuff regularly, it's just helping me to not be as dry so much. So I would recommend having a look at that if you suffer from that sometimes too. My last little piece of advice would be that cooldowns are just as important as warm-ups in your routine, particularly if you've had a really big session where you've used your voice a lot. This is actually where steaming is really great to throw in the mix. Once I get home from rehearsal, I'll try and steam for about 5 or 10 minutes at least, and then try not to talk for a little while afterwards with hot water. You don't want to use boiling water because that can sometimes be too much for the vocal folds and dry it out, but a bit of hot water, dash of cold water, you get the drill. But usually I'll steam, and then before or after, depending on if I remember, I'll just try and do some really gentle, maybe some straw work, just to kind of bring it back down, relax into the evening. But often I just kind of pass out because I'm so tired. And that's cool too. So there you have it. That's pretty well everything I'm doing to help take care of my voice, whether it's for a big gig, a session, a rehearsal, literally whatever you are using your voice for and have a big vocal load for, this is what I would do. But I'd love to know if you have any thoughts or tips or tricks that you use to help kind of reset the vocal cords and help look after yourself. I really want to try and get into doing some more YouTube content for choir and arranging. So if there's something in particular you'd love to see, flick me a DM, put a comment below, let me know, because I'd love to do some. I'm just a big old harmony nerd, really. But yeah, these are all the things. I hope it helps you on your vocal journey, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for being here.